The Leo new moon on August 4th, 2024 is an invitation to open our hearts and let our truest, most authentic selves be seen and heard. I'm really excited to talk to you about this new moon because it carries tremendous abundance and wealth potential for those who know how to tap into it and work with the energy. If you are also excited, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell icon so that you can be in the know with each new video we produce and see what the cosmos has in store for you. If you're new here, welcome. Hi, I'm Jenny. I produce astrology videos focusing on the new moon and full moon every 2 weeks, and I work one-on-one with clients on a consultant basis through the mediums of astrology, tarot, entrepreneurship and business coaching, personal training, and soon-to-be nutrition. Many of you have reached out for pointers and assistance in starting and growing your own YouTube channel, and that is a service that I'd like to announce I now also provide. The Gemini moon, Mars, and Vesta in me is a Jenny for all trades indeed. Most of my regular tarot and astrology clients are aspiring content creators, artists, and musicians who experience creative blocks from time to time. We are only human. This is totally normal. So if you're interested in working with me, I will be taking on new clients, but only until August 17th. As of August 17th, I'll be closing the books to focus on my regular paying clients, producing these videos on a consistent basis, and on a continuing education certification. We'll begin today with a brief introduction into Leo energy, this new moon, and then we'll dive a little deeper, exploring the aspects involved, for those of you who enjoy my more detailed content. It will all be organized into a larger playlist consisting of smaller 10 to 15 minute segments or videos, with one long, detailed, long format video for those of you who prefer that type of format. This is how I'm best able to appease both types of viewers and the YouTube algorithm, which prefers 10 to 12 minute videos. Feel free to use that gear icon to speed me up or slow me down as you take notes to your liking. You may also use the timestamps to navigate throughout the sections of the video at your choosing. This Leo new moon peaks on August 4th, 2024 at 7:12 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 12 degrees, the constellation Leo. This lunation encourages us to commit to participating more fully in life by embracing our unique individual authenticity and creativity. Do you have the courage to be seen? This means that this month, in the month of August, the sun and the moon meet in solar domicile, fixed fire sign Leo, the sign associated with the sun, igniting a fresh lunar cycle focused on self-expression, creativity, leadership, and self-reclamation. No matter where you are in your journey, it's comforting to know that you can always begin again. The Leo new moon, therefore, invites you to focus on your journey of self-actualization and take action on your heart's truest, deepest, most authentic desires. The Leo new moon puts the spotlight of energy, the sun, on our journey toward authentic self-expression, and it urges us to connect with our own unique talents and strengths as we find the courage to share them with the world. This event is an invitation to step into the limelight, not out of an egoic need for external validation, recognition, or praise, but rather as a way to wholeheartedly participate more fully in life and give back to the collective. We can give back to the collective by sharing our unique talents and gifts in a way that leaves a mark or a legacy. By allowing our authentic self-expression to show, we inspire others to do the same. This lunation will be most powerful for those of you who have personal placements on or around with a 5 plus or minus 5 degree orb, 12 degrees of the fixed signs, Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius. If you stick with me until the very end of the video, I'll show you exactly how to find where this will be most potent in a natal chart. You can find that in the How to Find It in Your Chart chapter. Those of us more strongly impacted by the Leo new moon will have opportunities to strengthen our commitment to being true to ourselves and to progressing within our own creativity. No matter where Leo falls in your chart, each of you watching has Leo energy. You are a complex, multi-layered individual. You are so much more than your sun sign. In fact, you have an entire solar system inside of you, waiting to emerge. This includes Leo energy. So during this upcoming lunar cycle, you're invited to pursue your passions with courage and confidence as you lay the groundwork for fresh visions and ideas. Since this new moon coincides with a Mercury retrograde, it's an ideal time to pick up an old creative project that you might not have had a chance to finish, one that helps you connect with and indulge that inner child. New moons provide new beginning. They are the start of a lunar cycle when the sun and moon are in the same part of the sky or universe, offering an alignment of our soul represented by the moon, and our life path and vitality, represented by the sun. This is why it's the ideal energy for manifestation and for setting new intentions. When you look up during a new moon, you won't be able to see the moon. This is because the moon is traveling between the Earth and the sun. It's therefore unable to reflect the light of the sun back to us from our Earth-based perspective. We instead see the dark side of the moon. New moons can be felt most intensely in the 3 days before and after its peak, and its effects can be felt for 2 weeks after, until the next full moon. New moons are completed 6 months later, under the corresponding full moon in the same sign. The full moon in Leo falls on February 12th, 2025, 24 degrees, the constellation Leo, which brings us all the way back not only to this Leo new moon 2024, but to last year's Leo new moon 2023, which happened 23 degrees within 1 degree of that full moon, 23 degrees Leo. This also coincided with the first Venus retrograde to begin and end in Leo since the late 1700s. This Venus retrograde was from late July to early September, so the energies we're experiencing under this Leo new moon 2024 is absolutely a return to July, August, and September of 2023. Dream big, because even if you miss your target, your dreams will surpass your expectations and land among the stars. In Leo, the new ideas and intentions we're setting fall along Leo themes: creativity and self-expression, natural leadership and integrity, courage, especially the courage to be seen and heard authentically, the courage to lead and parent from the heart, balancing the heart, compassion, with the analytical functions of our minds. Follow your heart, but take your brain with you. Feeling confident in standing in your light and inspiring others to do the same. Living with personal sovereignty and autonomy. Leo rules the heart and the heart chakra, after all, bringing more romance and passion into our lives. And we may see the emergence of young leaders over the next 6 months and year, especially with Jupiter in Gemini. The new moon in Leo beckons you to participate more fully in life by having the courage to embrace and express your authentic voice. From the moment we are born, and stemming from the depths of our unconscious minds, we all yearn to be seen, whether we have the self-awareness to admit it or not. This deep unconscious soul need to be seen and heard is the reason why babies cry, toddlers throw temper tantrums, and why social media has become such a popular outlet for disseminating thoughts, ideas, and self-promotion. If you truly want to make a difference in this world or create a successful business, you have to have the courage of a lion. Put yourself out there and be seen. Similarly, if we want to escape the merry-go-round of repeating karmic patterns and experiences, we have to be willing to see ourselves and recognize how we are the only common denominator in all of our problems. You have to be willing to look at your own self-sabotaging habits and patterns of limiting thoughts, beliefs, and behavior. Those who are most strongly impacted by the Leo new moon will be presented with opportunities to strengthen their commitment to authenticity, being more true to themselves, and progressing in creative self-expression, development, or heart-centered leadership or parenting. So I'll ask you again, do you have the courage to be seen? The only way to fully see yourself is to remove the blinders. Let the mask fall off. We recently had, under the last full moon, 2 weeks prior to this new moon, the sun opposing not only the moon, but Pluto. When the sun opposes Pluto, especially at the critical 0 degree, enhancing its power and influence, this asks us to take a deep look within as we clean out our closets. I'm hearing Eminem cleaning out my closets. Many people I know are physically cleaning out their closets as they prepare for a life-changing move. The issues and emotions that we have repressed, run away from, avoided, or otherwise attempted to bury, come erupting to the surface now, quite dramatically, as the patterns of those issues and emotions play out in our lives, especially interpersonally. This is difficult work. It requires radical self-acceptance, honesty, and compassion. What's waiting for you on the other side of this work is an opportunity not only to be reborn, but to reclaim your personal power. We must first allow these tower moments to destroy those layers of self and ego so that we can be reborn, stronger and better than before, like the phoenix rising from the ashes. When we have the courage to face our patterns of self-sabotaging thought and behavior, which keep us stuck in lower levels of consciousness, we are able to make a conscious choice from a place of empowerment and effect change. In so doing, these patterns lose all power over us. Do you have the courage to look deep beneath the surface? The Cancer-Capricorn axis of opposition that was activated during the double back-to-back full moons in Capricorn in June and July 2024 is the axis of career and family that deals with parent-child authority dynamics, power, helplessness, isolation, the past, and our ancestral lineage, among other things. More often than not, what keeps us stuck are the patterns of belief, thought, and behavior conditioned from our families of origin that play out in our interpersonal relationships, from deep within our unconscious minds. Those thoughts and beliefs that we absorbed from our families of origin, the way that we respond to authority, how we handle power and power dynamics, and how we assert control over our lives are all examples of this. Humans are magnets and mirrors. We attract others who help us attain balance within by mirroring back to us the parts of self we may not be willing but need to see. What we see in others that attracts or repels us is merely a reflection of what's deep inside of us that we haven't yet found the courage to own. Here are some questions for self-reflection. When things don't go my way, do I try to control people or circumstances? When I'm feeling vulnerable or powerless, or as though I have no control over a situation, do I react by blaming external circumstances, people, or events? When someone else exhibits power and control over me, do I feel threatened, dominated, victimized, or empowered to stand up for myself? When I am offered a position of power or authority, do I hesitate to step into it, coming from a place of conflict avoidance and fear? Or, at the other extreme end of the spectrum, do I become domineering, autocratic, confrontational, or dictatorial? Congratulations, you've made it to the deep dive. 12 degrees of Leo falls within the second decan, aka heart of Leo, which is ruled by the sun and sub-ruled by Jupiter, giving a strong Sagittarius sub-flavor to the energy, and a huge focus on wisdom and expansion. This energy will feel very familiar to anyone who has their sun sign or birthday falling between August 2nd and August 12th. It tends to bestow ambition, coupled with a prideful nature and a quick temper. Be very careful with Mars in Gemini and this new moon in the second decan of Leo. Remember to choose your battles and your words wisely. Air fuels fire. Leo is a fixed fire sign. Fixed because it tends to be very opinionated and dogmatic, or set in its opinions. It would benefit from a little bit more adaptability, which we can get with Mars and Jupiter in Gemini, Saturn and Neptune in Pisces, and Mercury, soon to be Venus in Virgo. Those are all mutable signs. The sun bestows warmth and light, providing life and vitality to all living things on Earth. The sun is in its sign of rulership in Leo, further strengthening the energy. Like the sun, Leo is larger than life, and it has a flair for the dramatic. Leo placements are common in the charts of leaders, entertainers, and performers, where a stage presence is necessary, especially personal placements in Leo. Sun, Moon, Mars, Venus, even Jupiter, and Leo, or the sun rising, or Leo, or the sun in the 10th house, representing one's career and public reputation. Mercury in Leo can mean this too, but it doesn't always indicate performance. Often, it indicates a confident, dogmatic communication style with the ability to convince others to follow its path. Leo is an energy that looks for what it can get out of life for itself and has a tendency to dominate others. It is a very self-focused sign, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's when the energy goes too far, when there's an overemphasis of Leo energy, that it can become a bad thing. And you'll know this because it will be at the expense or detriment of its relationships. You'll get that feedback. People will likely not want to be in your energy. I'm thinking, you're fired. Trump has not only Leo rising, but his Mars in Leo, and Mars rules anyone who identifies as a divine masculine. Mars adds energy wherever it's placed, and it's rising with his ascendant. In shadow, we've all seen that propensity for arrogance and aggression and self-focused domination of others. People with strong Leo energy tend to be bombastic, opinionated, and not afraid of challenging others. This confidence and energy often unwittingly provokes others towards acts of violence and aggression, and it can make people with dominant Leo energy prone to acts of slander or defamation. Leo is symbolized by the brave lion, which is both dominant and at times indolent, possessing both pride and nobility. People with dominant Leo placements tend to come from family money or are in some way regal themselves, often seen in the charts of celebrities, especially that Leo moon. You're reminded that royalty does not step down from its throne to address its subjects. Similarly, Don't allow other people's shadow projections to dim your light. It's their shadow, not yours. So don't absorb it, and don't add fuel to the fire by reacting to it. When people project this shadow onto you, what they really want is to bring you down to their level, where they're not only more comfortable with you, but where you're easier to control and manipulate. This is exactly how narcissists and energy vampires operate. Remove your energy, gray rock, don't engage, and leave it with God, whatever you deem him to be. With an imbalance of any energy, you can look to the opposite sign, its sister sign, for balance. Leo's opposite sign, or polarity, is Aquarius, and this is why so often opposites attract. We very much learn from other people, as they mirror back to us those parts of self that we need to balance. This is especially true in our closest and romantic relationships. Aquarius is the sign of ideals and humanitarian pursuits, the hopes and wishes for mankind as a whole. So the key to balancing any imbalanced Leo energy is to take those unique talents and gifts and find a way to share them with the collective in a way that benefits mankind. The glyph for Leo looks a lot like the Greek symbol for Omega and the Om symbol. Om is a sacred sound known as the sound of the universe because it's all-encompassing, the essence of ultimate reality, said to unify everything in the universe. This is why it's so frequently used in meditation. This glyph or pictograph represents the two chambers of the human heart, and Leo energy rules the human heart and heart chakra. Remember? It's all connected. Symbolically, this represents two incomplete circles, one formed by the sun and the other formed by the crescent moon, symbolizing the balance of head and heart needed to fully embrace and embody Leo energy in true power. The other parts of the body ruled by Leo, like we said, are the human heart, but also the spine and the back. And they can experience ailments to the heart, spine, and back as a response to emotional or physical exertion. So be mindful of these areas under this Leo new moon and any Leo new moon. Pay attention to your heart, your posture, and your spine health. 12 degrees in degree astrology is a Piscean degree. So let's not forget everything that's going on over in Pisces. Pisces is all about rest and the dream world. So ensure that you're prioritizing this. If we think about a lion isn't lazy, and neither is a Leo. But a lion knows exactly when it needs to rest and when it needs to go into full sprint to catch its next meal. This is all about making our creations and dreams into a reality. Envision the life that you want to lead and manifest, and then reverse engineer what it's going to take to get there and make it a reality. My ascendant is 12 degrees of its sign, and I can speak firsthand how powerful this can be for manifesting. If you dream it, you can very much achieve it, but it also takes consistent daily effort. This is why every person who's ever doubted me or even bullied me for my interest in astrology is now orbiting my social media and this channel. And if you're watching now, thank you for building the watch hours. This includes every boss, every person who's ever taken a romantic interest toward me, and every person that I inadvertently put into competition with my strong energy, self-confidence, and ambition. Forgive them. They know not what they do. Stand tall and always wear your invisible crown proudly. Do not let the weight of it falter, not even for a second. Saturn and Neptune, co-present in the late degrees of Pisces, bring a collective crisis of faith and belief to the entire collective, 2023 to 2025, until the two travel together into Aries for parts of 2025 and officially in 2026. This means that Pluto, Neptune, Uranus, and Saturn will all be changing signs from 2024 to 2026, bringing some immensely turbulent times globally for the entire collective. More on that in a later video. This Leo new moon forms an inconjunct to Saturn, while Saturn is 18 degrees Pisces. 18 degrees, if you'll remember from previous videos, is one of those evil degrees in astrology. Saturn transiting 18 degrees brings health flare-ups to the collective. In the sign of Pisces, with Neptune co-present 29 degrees, this can be very much related to the things that we ingest, down to a chemical level. It can be the ingredients in the food we consume. It can be our dependencies on various substances that we use for a dopamine chase or fix. It can include pharmaceuticals, etc. I have my natal Saturn 18 degrees Capricorn, where Saturn's in rulership and strong, which has brought in my life patterns of workaholism, overworking, overgiving in the workplace at the expense of my own health, leading to health flare-ups, until I learned boundaries. So you're reminded to watch your boundaries, especially with Pluto returning to Capricorn and the South Node in Libra. I'll discuss new moon in conjunct Saturn a bit deeper in the aspect section of this video. We also have Venus, 29 degrees Leo, forming an inconjunct to Neptune, 29 degrees Pisces. and Pluto, 0 degrees Aquarius, soon to be 29 degrees Capricorn, as part of a Yod, or finger of God, very fated formation. Venus, 29 degrees Leo, forms the apex of the Yod. I'll discuss the Yod, that finger of God, and all of those aforementioned aspects a bit later on in the video. But first, I'd like to explore the Sabian symbolism associated with this new moon. The Sabian symbol for the new moon, 12 degrees, the constellation Leo. We've had over 100 new subscribers join us in just the past 7 days. So for those of you who are new, I'd like to briefly review. The Sabian symbols are archetypal energies for each of the 360 degrees of the zodiac. Because they begin at 1 degree and end at 30 degrees of each sign, we round up when a planetary body is moving direct, and we round down when a planetary body is traveling retrograde. This is always the case, except in the rare event where something is happening at exactly the degree point of a sign. Since this Leo new moon is happening 12 degrees 34 arc minutes of Leo, we need to round up to 13 degrees Leo, the energy of where it's headed, or converging. This is on page 163 if you are following along at home and want to read along with me. Otherwise, just sit back and relax while I read it to you. Leo, 13 degrees. An old sea captain rocking. Keyword, retrospect. Theme, historical perspective. This symbol speaks to retrospection and an ability to identify relevant turning points in life and predict the outcome of current events by reflecting on past experience or using a historical perspective. The emphasis here is on the fact that history repeats itself and events occur in cycles. The image of an old sea captain rocking alludes to maturity and the stage of life when battles and adventures take place mostly in the mind. Be mindful of ruminating. Thus, this symbol also refers to vicarious experience. At its highest, the symbol represents the ability to draw on whatever skills and resources have been developed in the past as they are needed in any present moment. On the negative, watch for crystallization or being completely out of touch with the realities of the present as a result of living too much in the past. Today, the accent is on maturity, reflection, and reconstruction. You may be surprised when looking back on some event in your life that you now see it quite differently. Opportunity. Your greatest advantage lies in drawing on your past experience to handle a present challenge. Risk. Guard against withdrawing in order to avoid dealing with change or unknowns in the present. You may lose your place among your fellows if you refuse to adapt or learn new skills. Stepping stones. Retirement. Withdrawal. Maturity. Retrospection. Nostalgia. Reflection. Remembrance. Reminiscence. Sentiment. Longing. Contemplation. Meditation. Consideration. History. The past, contentment, and there it is again, rest. This is an image of contemplating one's past experiences, and it's particularly relevant if we remember that 2024 is a repeat of 2020. I have a playlist about that if you're not sure what I'm talking about and would like to check it out. While new moons are always a time of new beginnings, this Leo new moon coincides with Mercury retrograde. So this also asks us to be contemplative and reflective as we make more heart-centered choices moving forward. Let's dive into the aspects. So first I'd like to briefly list them. I'll also cast them on the screen as a list for you. So we have the Sun conjunct the Moon, aka the new moon. The new moon sextile Mars and Jupiter. The new moon trine the North Node. The new moon sextile the South Node. Mars conjunct Jupiter. Mars and Jupiter sextile the North Node. Mars and Jupiter trine the South Node. Uranus sextile Neptune. Venus square Uranus. Mars and Jupiter square Saturn. Pluto trine Black Moon Lilith and Juno. Juno and Black Moon Lilith are within conjunction territory, although they're in different signs. We have a Yod pattern, finger of God, at critical degrees, with Pluto, 0 degrees Aquarius, forming a sextile to Neptune, 29 degrees Pisces, forming the base of this isosceles triangle, both of which point at Venus, 29 degrees Leo. Those are all critical degrees, so this will be felt very strongly. We have Neptune opposite Black Moon Lilith and Juno, Mars square Mercury. The new moon coincides with the Mercury retrograde through both Virgo and Leo. And we have a grand air trine between Uranus, Juno and Black Moon Lilith, and Pluto, which is part of a larger Kite formation involving that opposition between Neptune and the conjunction between Juno and Black Moon Lilith. I won't have time to cover everything in detail, but I will touch on all of the above in the next few sections of the video. We'll begin our exploration of the aspects by diving into Mars and Jupiter in Gemini on fixed star Aldebaran, and a preview of the upcoming Mercury retrograde through Virgo and Leo, which starts under this Leo new moon. The Leo new moon 2024 forms a supportive sextile to Mars and Jupiter in Gemini, which are coming into exact alignment in the weeks following the Leo New Moon 2024. This is a time to take physical action and write things down. Beyond this, as somebody with their natal Mars conjunct their natal moon in Gemini can attest, this is so much more than talking about it or writing it down. It's about being about it. Mars is about action, and Gemini is about our thoughts and ideas. Air fuels fire. These two energies work really well together, if you know how to make the most of it. We can do so by not only writing it down, but speaking it into existence, and by practicing what we preach, and by taking the actions and daily habits necessary to turn those ideas and manifest them into reality. This is happening while the new moon forms a trine to its own north node, the north node of fate and destiny, and also while Mars sextiles that same north node. Set your intentions and your ideas under this new moon, and while Mercury is retrograde, and prepare to launch this project or idea once Mercury stations direct at the end of August. This means that the same planets are sextiling the south node of karmic fate and destiny. So we're essentially bridging the gap between the past and the future, right now in the present. Mercury retrograde always brings a return of the past, and this is amplified in the sign of Leo, which is about our passions and romance. And when we consider that the south node of karmic fate and destiny is in Libra, a sign that has everything to do with our interpersonal relationships, including romantic ones. Exes and old flames will absolutely resurface. Old coworkers, bosses, and people who might have doubted or in some way dimmed your light or tried to dim your light in the past may be wasting their precious energy as they allow you to live rent-free in their brains and orbit your socials. Mars in Gemini speeds things up, especially co-present and coming into conjunction with Jupiter. Things are going to speed up and intensify when it comes to the information highway and sharing of information. As you know, I have my Mars and Moon in close conjunction in my natal chart, and I definitely embody this energy. I played pretty much every sport, but when it came time to get serious about which sports I wanted to dedicate my time to in high school, I selected water polo, swimming, and for fun, lacrosse. With swimming, I excelled as a sprint freestyler and butterflyer. Sprint freestyle and butterfly require an all or nothing, give it all you've got approach. And I often joke that I have two modes, on or off. Mars is advancing on Jupiter as they come into conjunction under this Leo new moon. Their conjunction exacts on August 14th, 16 degrees Gemini, where we have Jupiter expanding the energy. Mars energizes it and delivers karma by separation, accident, illness, or injury. In the sign of Gemini, there's a lot of hot air, especially when it comes to communication and information sharing. The involvement of Jupiter can bring a crusading as we quest for truth and information. Mars is on top of fixed star Aldebaran, which is located 9 degrees Gemini exactly. Jupiter is also directly on top of fixed star Cursa, located 15 degrees Gemini. Jupiter on Cursa could indicate events related to rivers and streams. Its energy is said to bestow fortune, riches, creativity, idealism, impulsiveness, wantonness, scandals, indiscretion, and destructiveness. Watch out for a self-seeking nature and a large degree of unreliability. This is where I have my natal moon, in exact conjunction to Aldebaran, 9 degrees Gemini, in a supportive sextile to my Jupiter, 9 degrees Leo. Mars is nearby within a 4-degree orb conjunction to that natal moon, further activating and energizing that energy. That conjunction of Mars-Moon means many things, and it's tremendously beneficial, but it gives me the traits of an Aries moon. Anyone who has Aldebaran aspected in their charts knows how deeply powerful this can be. I'm going to read this excerpt directly from Astrology King about fixed star Aldebaran. Aldebaran is a pale rose star marking the bull's south or left eye. It's found in the constellation of Taurus. Interesting that Aldebaran is associated with the left eye, and prior to having LASIK eye surgery after college, I was legally blind in my dominant left eye. Its name is from Aldebaran, 2 separate words, the follower. It formed one of the 4 royal stars, or watchers of the heavens, among the Persians, from about 3000 BC, when, as the Watchers of the East, it marked the vernal, or spring equinox. The other 4 stars being Regulus, Antares, and Fomalhaut. According to Ptolemy, Aldebaran is of the nature of Mars, or Mars and Jupiter combined, which is exactly what we have under this Leo new moon. It gives honor, intelligence, eloquence, steadfastness, integrity, magnetizing popularity, courage, ferocity, and a responsible position or public honors. It can gain wealth or power through other people, but there can also be a danger of violence or sickness. Follow the energy trail. We see that Mars and Jupiter in the sign of Gemini both answer to Gemini's ruling planet Mercury, which is in Virgo and has been in Virgo since July 25th, just before the last quarter moon, halfway between the last full moon, 29 degrees Capricorn, and this new moon in Leo. Mercury rules the fraternal twins, Gemini and Virgo, so Mercury is strengthened in one of its signs of rulership. Additionally, Mercury is stationed here, 4 degrees Virgo, increasing its strength. 4 degrees Virgo is where Mercury will station retrograde, ignited under this new moon in Leo, which will bring explosive information and revelations, especially regarding health, and especially when we consider that Mercury is square or coming out of a square to Mars. This means that Mars and Jupiter, as they come into alignment, are loosely square their depositor Mercury, further intensifying the energy. Although we had a Mercury retrograde through Virgo last year, from August 23rd to September 14th, 2023, this one will be different because Mercury will retrograde from 4 degrees Virgo all the way back to 21 degrees Leo. Anytime Mercury retrograde changes signs, it indicates a major change of heart or direction, especially in the sign of Leo, ruling over the heart chakra and the solar plexus. This will be a rewind to not only Mercury retrograde through Virgo of 2023, which I'll link as an end card and in the description box below for those of you watching on YouTube, and a return to Venus retrograde through Leo summer 2023. For those of you listening to the podcast version on Spotify, you're invited to come on over and join the conversation here in the comments section on YouTube. In that Mercury retrograde, new moon in Virgo combined video from September 11th, 2023, I discussed the growing border crisis, which has since become a massive problem, not only in the United States where I reside, but in essentially every democratic country across the globe. At that time, back in September 2023, I also had predicted there could be a return to mask mandates coming in the future. And although I didn't have the timing right back then, timing is really hard to predict with astrology, that timing may very well be fast approaching late August and September of 2024. Mars and Jupiter and Gemini will feel fast and overwhelming, so ground down as much as possible. Watch out for verbal tit-for-tats that feed the polarity between the egoic battle of I'm right, you're wrong. Try your best to remain detached, focused on the big picture. Embody the divine neutrality and detachment of Pluto and Aquarius. It'll be necessary the next 20 years. Be especially careful with what you say and write, and especially what you post to social media, especially in a time of such heavy censorship. Mars is in a very tight inconjunct quincunx, a challenging 150-degree angle that's almost but not quite in opposition to Ceres, 8 degrees Capricorn, asteroid of mothering and nurturing, related to grains and agriculture. We may see new initiatives unfold under this Leo new moon and in the next 6 months related to these areas, but especially agriculture and farming, along with a collective need to grow. Positive side of Mercury in Virgo with the Sun in Leo is a keen ability to translate what we envision in our mind's eye into our creations. It's highly artistic. The discernment and work ethic of Virgo, coupled with the creativity and boldness of Leo, is the perfect combination to turn vision into reality through our creations. Mercury stationing retrograde in Virgo under this Leo new moon suggests that the best approach moving forward as we embrace a fresh start or new beginning is to reflect on the past and take forward with us, like the old man on his rocking chair, the wisdom we've gleaned from our personal histories and past experiences. Success is not always linear. For every 100 subscribers this channel gains, a couple fall off. And that's okay. I am eternally grateful to each and every one of you, regardless, for however long you stick around, regardless of how long you do so. It's an honor to share my gifts and talents in translating the energy of the cosmos with you, and I'm blessed simply for the opportunity to be here. The combined energies of Gemini, Leo, and Mercury retrograde suggest that it's an excellent time to pick up an old creative passion, hobby, outlet, or project that you've since disconnected from. Find a way to integrate it into your busy schedule again, in a way that provides a source of fun and greater overall balance. A couple years back, I treated myself to a guitar because a musician friend, knowing about my personal singing journey and my severe stage fright, suggested it would be helpful not only to tune my voice to, but to potentially hide behind should I ever find the courage to perform alongside him on stage. At the time, I couldn't practice while anyone was home, and I wouldn't even allow myself to listen to my own voice. Crippling self-doubt and self-criticism, 12th house Virgo. But how can you possibly improve if you won't even have the courage to listen to yourself? That was 3 years ago. Last year, I bought myself a very cheap portable Bluetooth karaoke mic that, while convenient, wasn't loud enough for anyone to actually hear me. This year, I treated myself to a karaoke set with an amplifier to help me practice, and to also have karaoke parties with fellow singing enthusiasts. It's about progress, you see, not perfection. I can see that little girl, that little Leo, who used to sing everywhere she went before her world completely fell apart in 1998. Every time I look in the mirror and she's beaming back at me with pride and adoration. Mercury, the ruler of Virgo and Gemini, will return to Leo on August 14th, the same day that Mars and Jupiter align 16 degrees Gemini, bringing an opportunity to reconnect with our hearts and what we are most passionate about and what we desire most. Triggers and past memories may resurface, reminding us of where our self-confidence was dimmed or where we allowed others to disempower us or dim our light. Reflecting on these hurts is an opportunity to bring them into the light of consciousness for healing, especially as we embrace a fresh opportunity that's more aligned with authenticity and heart-centered living. For example, I am a Libra rising, so this new moon happens on the exact cusp of my 10th and 11th houses. The 10th house is the area of the chart representing one's public reputation and career, and the 11th house has everything to do with our friends, our circles, our networks, and our overall legacy that we leave in the world. It aligns perfectly as I prepare to embrace a new full-time employment opportunity that is not only fun, but that fully integrates all of my abilities and talents and allows me to heal others not only spiritually and emotionally as we do on this channel, but from a whole body perspective, as it will heavily involve my personal training and soon-to-be nutrition certification. Venus square Uranus, and Venus as the apex of the Yod, finger of God formation. Venus is at the very end of Leo, that 29th critical anaretic degree, heightening the shadow of Leo and heightening drama. This means the sun in rulership, the moon, and Venus are all in Leo, creating a quadruple dose of Leo energy. The co-presence of the sun, the moon, and Venus, all in Leo, calls us to reflect on the role that relationships have in our lives as a source of emotional safety, security, and comfort. This is an opportunity to observe our connections, the role we play in them, and how they contribute to our overall sense of purpose and identity. Venus, nicknamed the planet of love, 29 degrees, indicates a crisis point, and that we're completing an important relationship that started in the past or one from previous life cycles, as we shift from one mode of perceiving into another. This is compounded by Black Moon Lilith and the South Node in Libra, which soon to be joined by Juno, asteroid of long-term commitments. Black Moon Lilith and South Node in Libra the next 6 months brings major relationship karma on a collective level. I have another video dedicated to that, which I'll link as an in-card and in the description box below for you to check out in your own time for more information. As we learn to come into right relationship within ourselves, balancing the internal yin and yang energies within, we can come into right relationship with others and manifest that relationship of our dreams. This is a quantum leap of sorts, especially in regards to our interpersonal relationships and how we conduct ourselves within those relationships. At that critical anaretic 29th degree, it can be really volatile, it can be prone to crisis and sudden reversals, but ones that lead to deep personal transformation. That's why the 29th degree is known as the critical anaretic degree. It carries all the transformative energy of Pluto and Scorpio, and the Tower card in Tarot. A big psychological change leads to deep personal transformation. It may happen internally first for it to manifest physically in your 3D reality. Additionally, Venus 29 degrees Leo is conjunct Regulus, the heart of the Leo constellation. Whenever Venus is conjunct Regulus, this can bring unexpected happenings, especially when she's square to Uranus. It can also lead to disappointments, attachments that prove violent, and difficulty in love affairs. Venus is conjunct Regulus. These disappointments can include anything Venus related: career, domestic life, and all interpersonal relationships. Watch for lapses of judgment with friends or relationship partners, and disaster due to overattachment. Venus in Leo is extra bold, theatrical, artistic, and larger than life, and she's separating from an exact square to Uranus under this new moon. The exact square happened on August 2nd, just 2 days prior to the new moon. So the energy is still really relevant. This brings shakeups and curveballs to Venus-ruled things. In a nutshell, Venus rules our values, how we invest our time, energy, and money or resources. This can be incredibly chaotic energy, especially when we consider that Venus 29 degrees Leo is the depositor for Uranus, while Uranus is in Taurus. This means that Uranus is square its depositor while it's on Demon Star Algol, 26 degrees Taurus. I would anticipate seismic activity and a metaphorical or literal volcanic eruption. Venus in Leo square Uranus on Algol can bring changing values and currencies and a feeling for an urge or need for space, variety, freedom, or breathing room within our closest interpersonal relationships. Just after this new moon, Venus enters Virgo, where she's debilitated or weakened. This indicates that we're in for some collective struggles to Venus-ruled things: our values, our resources, our self-confidence, our money, our comforts, our luxuries, food, the work we do to earn money or resources, our health, in our bodies and our relationships or partnerships. Watch for karma coming in for over-attachment to things and dependencies on others, but especially work, material things, and on instant gratification. Mercury rules Virgo energy, so Venus in Virgo will be very much connected and part of this upcoming Mercury retrograde. Let's dive into that Yod, Finger of God formation. We had this exact same Yod, Finger of God formation, as part of the Leo new moon 2023. So this energy is absolutely a return to July, August, and September of 2023. The Yod pattern is called the Finger of God because Yod bearers, those with a Yod in their natal chart, like myself, incarnated for a unique spiritual assignment, and they are believed to experience an inescapable sense of fate or destiny. They encounter more than one fated event, experience, or person in their life. I have 2 Yod formations in my natal chart. If you're curious, I'll put out an additional video about the Yod Finger of God, and I will dive into my own Yod chart pattern to help explain the energy. Let me know in the comment section if you'd like me to put that video out. Some famous examples of Yod bearers include Karl Marx, the artist formerly known as Prince, and Princess Diana. Those who have Yod patterns in their natal charts will notice that when they fall off track, the universe, or God, whatever you deem him to be, redirects them quite quickly. Since we have this Yod as part of the new moon in Leo 2024, this redirection will be felt on a collective level. The Yod pattern is an isosceles triangle. I'll take you back to geometry class. This is a triangle with 2 equal sides, formed from 3 points. The base of the triangle involves a sextile, 60-degree angle between 2 planetary bodies, while the apex, or the point of the triangle, is 150 degrees away in conjunct or quincunx from each of the points of the base. The key to unlocking any Yod pattern is to look at the placements for each of those 3 points in the triangle, and any planets or planetary bodies that may be aspecting them, as is in my chart. At the base of the triangle, we have a long-term supportive sextile between Neptune, 29 degrees Pisces, and Pluto, 0 degrees Aquarius, soon to be 29 degrees Capricorn. This means that the Great Dissolver, Neptune, and the Great Destroyer, Pluto, are working very closely together, supporting one another in the process. These planets have been working in a long-term sextile for quite some time now, since about mid-2022, and the energy, the long-term sextile, actually lasts until 2028. This is a big deal. This is what's supporting a collective evolution as we shift from the Piscean era into the age of Aquarius. This is even cooler when we consider that Uranus, 26 degrees Taurus, is forming a supportive sextile to Neptune, 29 degrees Pisces, and trine Pluto, 0 degrees Aquarius. So they're all working together. I misspoke in my previous series, so I hope you'll forgive me. But after double checking the ephemeris for 2024, Pluto and Neptune will actually be 29 degrees of their respective signs, that critical energetic degree bringing a crisis to the collective, for 2 days in September. September 2nd and September 3rd, coinciding with Labor Day here in the United States. Mark your calendars, we are in for some chaotic and turbulent times. Neptune at the critical energetic degree of Pisces heightens the shadow of mass illusions and deception that we've fallen for the past 2,000 years during the Pisces era, amplifying the polarity between what's true and what's not. You're encouraged to lean into the opposite energy of Virgo, where Mercury and Juno are, and Venus is soon to be just after this new moon. Lean into Virgo for greater discernment between what's true and what isn't. We've already discussed Pluto at the critical 0 degree of Aquarius and 29th degree of Capricorn ad nauseum. I have an entire video dedicated to that, which I'll link here, and we discussed it in depth in the previous double Capricorn full moon June 2024 and July 2024 series, which I will also link. In a nutshell, Pluto on the cusp of Capricorn and Aquarius is destroying the corruption and deceit of the shadow capitalist era, where very Capricorn top-down structures and systems of organization and government, big business, etc., profited the wealthy 2% at the expense of the collective, while Pluto in Aquarius is shifting that power back into the hands of the people. We last saw Pluto in Aquarius during the American and French revolutions, which similarly overthrew this grabbing of power and redistributed power back to the people. Quincunxes in conjuncts indicate a major crisis, and they are very challenging positions. With any challenge, just like a square or an opposition, once you balance the energies, there is tremendous power waiting. Venus at the apex of this isosceles triangle indicates that Venus-ruled things, art, creativity, beauty, love, our values, our bodies, the work that we do, our self-confidence, how we invest our time, energy, and money, is the key to this collective awakening. Rewind with me back to the Leo new moon 2023, which featured a conjunction between the Sun, Moon, Black Moon Lilith in Libra, and Venus retrograde in Leo. The 2023 Leo new moon featured a conjunction between the Sun, Moon, Black Moon Lilith, and Venus retrograde in Leo. Summer of 2023 was all about reflecting on the extent of our self-worth and our self-expression. It was about how our self-esteem may or may not directly depend on external sources of validation, especially recognition and attention from others, chasing likes. The 2023 Leo new moon conjunct Black Moon Lilith in Leo served as an invitation to remember, feel, and embody the power of our bodies and the raw, primordial, feminine, or yin energy that lies within each and every one of you watching, whether or not you identify as a feminine. This challenged us to be seen and celebrated without the shame or guilt that holds us back from fully embracing our truest, most authentic selves. 2023 also featured several squares as Venus retrograded through Leo between Venus and Uranus, while Uranus was still in Taurus. And we have this again under the 2024 Leo new moon, with the additional activation of Uranus having recently aligned with Mars, 26 degrees Taurus on fixed demon star Algol. We are in for a period of heightened change, chaos, and unpredictability. The positive of this alignment amplifies the potential for surprising events, sudden shifts, and abrupt personal transformations. Many of you watching and listening may be feeling restless or irritable. You may be craving freedom or novelty, excitement, and a desire to break free from conformity and inauthenticity. Bye-bye, sheep mentality. You may feel compelled to liberate yourself from the confines of your comfort zone, especially if it no longer aligns with your values, aspirations, and inner truth, as your values have likely changed and evolved in some way over the past 2 years. We have a building square between Mars and Jupiter in Gemini and Saturn in Pisces. Saturn forms a loose quincunx to this new moon, which can really put a damper on things, but only if we let it, especially when we consider that Saturn is 18 degrees Pisces. 18 degrees is considered an evil degree in degree astrology, bringing health flare-ups and health issues to the collective. New moon in conjunct Saturn brings a need to visualize and write things down. It has a tremendous connection to our spirituality and our dream world, which may be extra vivid at this time. Mars and Jupiter aligned 16 degrees Gemini forms a square to Saturn, expanding and energizing this challenging square. This will impact 12 to 22 degrees of the mutable signs: Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces. On the positive, where Jupiter falls brings abundance, and where Saturn falls can bring great focus and determination. The square between Mars and Jupiter and Saturn, exacting on August 19th, 2024, 17 degrees of their respective signs, the day of the Mercury cazimi and the midway point for Mercury retrograde, is a return to what was seeded back in December of 2020. Whenever these two planets, Jupiter and Saturn, conjoin, and they later square off, the first square that we're seeing on August 19th, 2024, serves as a testing ground from that initial point of conjunction, the Great Saturn-Jupiter conjunction of December 2020. I'll explain. The Great Saturn-Jupiter conjunction of December 2020 occurred around the winter solstice, the beginning of Capricorn season 2020, and it actually featured a triple conjunction between Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto, the destroyer, because Pluto was aspected within a 5-degree orb, still within conjunction territory. This conjunction happened at both 29 degrees Capricorn and 0 degrees Aquarius, as you can see on the ephemeris here. From December 15th to December 24th, 2020, as Saturn and Jupiter traveled from the critical 29th anaretic degree of Capricorn together into the critical 0th degree of Aquarius. This was strong, potent energy that brought themes of isolationism, lockdowns, social distancing, and working online, resulting from fear-mongering stemming out of the COVID-19 pandemic. This energy was reactivated recently under the July 21st, 2024 full moon 29 degrees Capricorn, and it will be reactivated again with the moon conjunct Pluto 29 degrees Capricorn 4 more times in our lifetime, the last of which occurs the night of the U.S. presidential election on Tuesday, November 5th, 2024. The moon will conjunct Pluto 3 times between now and the U.S. presidential election. On August 18th, 2024, the moon and Pluto align 0 degrees Aquarius, the day before Mercury cazimi. On September 14th, 15th, depending on where you're tuning in from in the world, the moon and Pluto will align 29 degrees Capricorn. On October 11th, 12th, the moon and Pluto align 29 degrees Capricorn. And again, finally, Tuesday, November 5th, 2024, the night of the United States presidential election. Remember how I mentioned back in my Capricorn new moon video and Aquarius new moon videos back in early 2024, in January and February, that 2024 would be a repeat and a revisit to 2020 with some caveats? Now, at that time, we already could see some correlations. We had the same presidential candidates, at least originally, before Biden stepped out of the race. We had the same Super Bowl contenders, and we had the same Super Bowl winners in both 2020 and 2024. The caveats are you, the collective. Despite the astrology, you're reminded that you have willpower. You have the freedom of choice. This time around, the collective will not tolerate desperate attempts at power grabbing or abuses of power, and we won't take them lying down. You are reminded of how much power you have as an individual in informing yourself, casting an informed vote, and where you invest your money. The next aspect we'll explore is the Kite pattern and the Grand Trine. In short, the Kite pattern bestows a thriving for deeper spiritual development. It consists of a Grand Trine formed by a perfect equilateral triangle and one opposition. So you'll see that there's an equilateral triangle with a smaller triangle on top and a cross through the middle. The Grand Trine formed under the Leo New Moon 2024 is an out-of-sign Grand Earth Trine. It's formed between Black Moon Lilith in the early degrees of Libra, conjunct Juno in the late degrees of Virgo, so the two are fused together on the cusp of Virgo and Libra, trine Pluto, 0 degrees Aquarius, and Uranus in the late degrees of Taurus, 26 degrees Taurus on fixed star, demon star, Algol, still. This means that Pluto the Destroyer, Uranus, the Great Awakener, Black Moon Lilith, representing shadow feminine patterns of self-disempowerment, and Juno, asteroid of long-term commitments, are all working harmoniously together toward this greater spiritual development. Now let's focus on that smaller triangle at the top of the kite. Do you see how the entire kite seems to be pointing toward this smaller triangle and its apex at the peak? This point and planet is called the peak planet, and that's because all the other planets must work toward its development. It is where the energy is converging. This peak planet, or apex, in the kite formation is Neptune, 29 degrees Pisces, experiencing a collective crisis of faith and belief. Directly opposite the kite's peak is the kite's tail, which serves as a tension ruler opposite the kite's peak. This is where latent abilities and talents are underlying and need to be fully formed in order for us to actualize the energy at the kite's peak. In this case, the tail is formed by Juno, 28 degrees Virgo. Because it's in conjunction to Black Moon Lilith, which is also coming into conjunction with the South Node in Libra, all of these energies are working together on the cusps of Virgo and Libra. Directly opposite Neptune, as it's on the cusp, the very final degree of Pisces, preparing in the next 2 years to enter Aries. Balancing the energy of Virgo-Libra cusp with Pisces Aries cusp will be the key to unlocking this kite formation. If we look at the center of the kite, the right angles that are formed by its cross indicate that that which is long-standed, tested through our personal experiences, and brings knowledge is proven to be lasting or withstanding. The cross is formed by the opposition between Juno and Black Moon Lilith and Neptune. When two planetary bodies oppose each other, confrontation forces evolution. In this case, the confrontation occurs between Neptune, the great dissolver, and Juno, asteroid of long-term commitments, wife of Jupiter, or Zeus in Greek mythology, daughter of Saturn, and mother of Mars. Juno points to how we may have fallen for the illusion and felt forced to choose between career and work or love. And it serves to remind us that we can in fact hold steady to our life path or dharma and also manifest the love of our dreams. The two in fact can not only coexist but support one another. So shed the illusion that one has to be sacrificed in order to attain the other. We do this by becoming responsible for our own personal spiritual evolution, by maintaining a conscious connection to source and becoming conscious of our own emotions instead of projecting them or making them our partner, friend, family members, co-workers, or employees' responsibility to manage. Coming into right relationship with others and manifesting healthy, balanced relationships very much begins by coming into right relationship with the self, by balancing the internal feminine and masculine, yin and yang forces that exist within each and every one of you watching. Do you have a kite formation in your chart? If so, let me know in the comments. I'd also love to hear if you have any insight to add about this kite formation under the Leo New Moon, August 2024. Before we dive into how to work with the energy, the tarot cards, the crystals that are recommended, the fun part, I want to briefly review the recent astrological history as it sets the stage for the Leo New Moon, and then we'll take us all the way into the events that are happening shortly after the new moon up until the full moon, which will be the next time I put out a video. So from July 26th to August 12th, every year we have Lionsgate Portal, and it peaks on 8/08, August 8th. This is a time of heightened and accelerated spirituality, increased manifestation, and it's especially amplified coinciding with solar maximum. I'm a little bit later filming this. You'll notice the hair is slightly different, the jewelry is probably a little different too. Everything else from this series was filmed on Friday, July 26th. I allowed myself to have some fun for a birthday party on Saturday, a Shabuzi concert in Atlantic City on Sunday, and then pretty much everyone I know got hit, including myself, with severe migraines Monday, Tuesday. We had a lot of solar flare activity, so if you were feeling exhausted, had headaches, experienced migraines yourself, you're not alone. If we rewind back to the astrology of the week of July 22nd, that was the week of the second of 2 consecutive double back-to-back full moons in the sign of Capricorn. If you didn't have a chance to check out that series, I highly encourage you to do so. One of the biggest parts of that series, other than a grand air trine, which there's a whole chapter on that, I'll link here and in the description box below, was Sun opposite Moon and Pluto. This essentially is the sun shining the light of consciousness into the darkest, deepest corners of our unconscious minds and our psyches. We may have experienced powerful confrontations and transformations. We were demanding answers and seeking truth, crusading even. Powerful revelations and information came to the surface. Awareness helped drive change, and it's continuing to do so now that Mars is in Gemini, especially amplified with Jupiter co-present in the sign and the two about to align, squaring off against Saturn. Things that have long been broken since 2008, 2020, will have a chance to be healed and repaired. We received unsettling, unexpected news and information. We saw some changes in power, authority, and leadership. Mars in Gemini, especially trine to Pluto, is all about being the change you wish to see in the world. This dramatically increased the need for us to assert more individual control over our lives. We saw power plays play out personally and on a global stage. That polarity between the Sun and Pluto can intensify one's willpower and ego, which caused many people to act out of character. Some became domineering and ruthless in the pursuit of their desires. Some of you might have experienced a crisis resulting from manipulation, jealousy, domination, or spying. Pluto's extreme nature, combined with that antagonistic confrontation, opposition against the sun, can lead to obsessiveness, compulsiveness, jealousy, revenge, and rage. People in your life might have lost their cool or lost their heads. It's imperative for the entire collective, as we watch these energy patterns play out, to find balance between asserting yourself and your boundaries and not imposing your will on other people. Because taking the meek approach can cause others to dominate you. July 25th, Mercury entered Virgo, which is significant because we have Mercury retrograde through both Virgo and Leo. While Mercury is typically very happy to be in its home sign of Virgo, it won't be nearly as smooth as its 2023 transit and retrograde. Practice level-headed practicality and discernment, and be mindful of not allowing yourself to drift into overthinking, worrying, or rumination. July 25th, the Sun in Leo formed an exact sextile to Mars in Gemini, which is an incredibly positive and social energy. On July 26th, Chiron stationed retrograde in Aries, and this was activated the very next day on July 27th by the last quarter moon, 26 degrees Aries, conjunct not only Chiron retrograde, but also Eris. Whenever a planetary body stations retrograde or direct, aka changes its direction, it's felt more strongly. July 31st and August 1st, the Sun formed an exact trine to the North Node in Aries, which also means it formed an exact sextile to the South Node in Libra, which is coming into conjunction with Black Moon Lilith. This brings fated events and divine timing. It can bring a burning desire to get ahead, activating one's willpower, and it can also bring a continuation of the overinflated egos that we saw with Sun opposite Pluto and the Moon. In Leo and Aries, the two signs most involved in this trine, this can bring a big need to be seen and heard, and an opportunity to step into leadership. People may be overdoing things, and be very careful about getting too much sun, which can cause people to get sick. On August 2nd, leading into the Leo new moon, we'll have that exact square between Venus, the depositor of Uranus, and Uranus, while Uranus is in Taurus. This brings a desire to break free and unexpected events or curveballs to all Venus-ruled things, as we discussed. Love, money, resources, our overall sense of self-confidence and self-worth, the work we do for money, and all of our interpersonal relationships, not just romantic ones. Libra and Venus rule any type of one-to-one interaction. That could be between business owner and client, boss employee, co-workers, partners, friends, mentor-mentee, or your romantic relationship, etc. The heat of August can burn love affairs, so be very careful. Temper yourself and ground down, because this too shall pass. To review the major aspects under the Leo new moon exacting on August 4th, we have Mercury kicking off its retrograde. We'll also have Venus at the critical 29th degree of Leo as the apex of that yod, immediately after this new moon in Leo, entering Virgo, one of her signs of debilitation. A few days after the Leo new moon, on August 7th, the Sun in Leo forms an exact sextile to Jupiter in Gemini. This is very optimistic, so be sure you're on top of your mindset as you manifest and attract the things you desire to you. Also on August 7th, we'll have Mercury retrograde through Virgo, conjunct Venus, debilitated in Virgo. Even though they're retrograde, this can be a great day to do business, as Venus is one of the benefics, even in her sign of debilitation. Focus on grounding down through the energy of Virgo, practicing discernment. On August 9th, Juno will enter Libra, bringing the focus of our long-term commitments onto our interpersonal relationships, especially our romantic ones. It's especially prevalent because it'll be joining the South Node and Black Moon Lilith in Libra. On August 14th, we have that exact conjunction of Mars and Jupiter in Gemini, as they're coming into an exact square to Saturn. Even though there's a lot of benefits to this aspect, Jupiter expands while Mars energizes, and in Gemini, especially aspecting the sun in Leo, it can blow things out of proportion. Watch for arguments and temper tantrums. And you may want to work through any excess energy by exercising, working out, journaling, talking things out. Mars in Gemini is a talker. And be sure to ground down by practicing deep breathing. Gemini rules the lungs, among other things. On that very same day, Mercury retrograde re-enters Leo, 29 degrees Leo, that point where Venus was at the apex of the Yod under the Leo new moon. Our lives are about to get significantly more dramatic as Mercury retrograde prepares to leave its home sign of Virgo and re-enter the sign of Leo, bringing bold communication and a flair for drama. Alongside courage can come impulsivity, so remember to choose your words and battles wisely. Use that discernment of Virgo. August 15th, 16th, we have that exact square between Jupiter and Saturn. Tempers will be at an all-time high. It can be very easy to be Venus in Virgo, nitpicky, and pick fights over the smallest of things. You're encouraged to take all the space you need and to ground down. Make sure that you are seeing clearly and thinking practically before inadvertently blowing things out of proportion and burning any bridges. On August 18th, we have Mercury in Leo squaring off again against Uranus and Taurus on Algol. This time Mercury is retrograde. I recommend taking a break from social media, disconnecting, turning your phone on silent, turning it off, because chaos and disruption can cause a lot of trouble and turbulence in our lives. Try your best not to get involved in other people's drama and headaches. On August 18th and 19th, depending on where in the world you are, the Sun will conjunct Mercury retrograde in Leo. This is Mercury Cazimi. This is a highly creative aspect, so you're invited to step into the limelight and be the star of your own show. This would be a great day to come out of your little social media hiatus, turn your phone back on, and post something creative you've been working on. On this same day, Venus in Virgo squares off against Jupiter in Gemini, while Jupiter is still square Saturn, so this is a mutable T-square. You may notice you'll have a hard time focusing, so it's not the best time to make plans. I'm confident as you move through Mercury Cazimi that this energy will start to lift. With any mutable T-square, you're encouraged to go with the flow and don't sweat the small stuff. The key to any T-square is to focus on what's missing, and that would be in Sagittarius. Embody the energy of Sagittarius, stay positive, and focus on the silver lining within every single setback. That brings us to August 19th, the day of the Mercury Cazimi, for where I am in Eastern Standard Time, the day of the exact Jupiter in Gemini square Saturn in Pisces, and the day of the next full moon, the full moon in Aquarius. This is all while Venus in Virgo opposes Saturn in Pisces. Stay tuned as I leave you on the cliff here, because this next full moon in Aquarius is going to be explosive. How to work with the energy of the Leo new moon. I always recommend incorporating all four elements, but we have a dominance of fire and air right now. You're encouraged to use those elements to your advantage. The energy of fire both moves and burns quickly, and it's fueled by air. Its energy is focused, powerful, and intense. Fire drives passion, but also anger. We can incorporate the element of fire best by having the courage to take action on our desires and passions. You can burn incense, sage, and Palo Santo, which incorporates fire, air, and earth. You can have a campfire or a fire pit, and maybe even invite some friends over to join that with you. You can use music or sound to incorporate air, breathwork, and meditation, and practice candle gazing, especially if you have trouble focusing, or your mind tends to wander a lot during meditation and you have trouble quieting it. Candle gazing can be a really helpful practice. You're encouraged to create the combined energies of everything in Leo, soon to be Virgo, giving us the discernment and the work ethic of making those ideas a reality. And the energies of Gemini are very creative energies if you know how to work with it. So if you're experiencing extreme emotions, journal about it or turn it into a song. This is a great time, especially during Mercury retrograde, to make the vision board and to write the ideas down. At the end of August will be a better time to enact the plans to make that vision board a reality, or those plans a reality. Incorporate the colors of Leo, which are yellow and gold. You can also use orange. Affirmations. I use my talents and creative gifts to enhance abundance in my life. I have the courage to be seen authentically. I detach from negative feedback and criticism because I understand that those are merely shadow projections of others, and they're not necessarily a reflection of my authentic self. By daring to be myself, I inspire others to do the same. I lead from my heart, consulting the analytical functions of the mind as needed. Now let's talk about some crystals and metals for Leo, starting with gold. Gold is the master of all metals. It's one of the purest minerals on the planet, serving as an activator of other crystals and their electrical currents. Gold fortifies energy by making one more resilient to pain. Gold is most effective on the third eye chakra and the crown chakras, so always wear your invisible crown. Tiger's Eye is a crystal that brings protection and good fortune, especially for those who tend to be big dreamers but struggle with procrastination, as it can bring grounding and self-responsibility. Tiger's Eye is most effective at the heart chakra and solar plexus. Pyrite. Pyrite brings assertion, opportunity, and abundance. You can put 2 stones above the entryway of your home to keep negative influences at bay, attract greater abundance, and align your path with universal consciousness. Pyrite is even luckier and more abundant when it's gifted. It's most effective when used in meditation and feng shui. Carnelian. Carnelian promotes vitality and ambition. I wear a carnelian ring daily on my left hand. It is believed to transmute lower vibrational frequencies, including the energies of low self-esteem and negative emotional states, including but not limited to fear, insecurity, envy, jealousy, anger, sorrow, and rage. Carnelian is most effective when worn at the heart chakra or when combined with amethyst. It can also be worn as a ring or held in one's hand during meditation. And last but not least, citrine. Citrine promotes joy, abundance, and creativity. I wear my gold-dipped citrine arrowhead necklace in almost, but not every, video. Citrine is believed to counter non-productive or negative energy by redirecting it into healthy creative self-expression. Citrine is most effective when worn at the heart chakra or held in one's palm during meditation. And now for the tarot cards. So first I will list them. We have the Strength card, the Sun card, the Six of Wands, the King of Wands, and the Emperor. Starting with the Strength card, I'm going to talk about both the traditional Rider-Waite tarot deck and the Light Seers tarot deck, which is my favorite to use in my practice. The Strength card is associated with the number 8. 8 is a power number. I was born on the 8th day of the month of October. It is associated with both Scorpio and Leo energy. 8 is infinity sideways. It represents the divine union of light and shadow. In the traditional Rider-Waite deck, we can see a woman gently stroking the lion on its forehead and its jaw. Even though the lion is known and feared for its ferociousness, the woman has tamed the beast. She's done so with her compassionate, calm, and loving energy. The lion symbolizes our raw passion and desires, and in taming him, the woman shows her ability to tame those animal instincts. She doesn't use force or coercion to do so. Instead, she channels her inner strength, which not only subdues, but controls the lion. The woman is seen wearing a white robe, showing her purity of spirit. She's adorned with a belt and a crown of flowers, symbolizing life at full bloom. Over her head, we can see 8 sideways, the symbol for infinity, symbolizing infinite power and wisdom, once we learn how to balance the internal shadow and light within each and every one of us. In the Light Seers tarot, it's a very similar depiction. The young lady is half woman, half beast, but more human than beast. Over her head, she holds her arm with that infinity symbol overhead. She's wearing a necklace, a carnelian heart, over the heart and solar plexus chakras. And she has an innocent lamb. Once she has tamed the beast within, the innocent baby animal, the lamb, trusts her enough to sit on her lap. Perfect segue to talk about both the Emperor and the King of Wands side by side. And you'll see there's a lion in the background. The Emperor represents a mature divine masculine, yang, character, usually depicted as a soldier or a corporate executive, seated on a throne or holding some sort of sword or staff and a shield. In the Light Seers tarot, he is holding a pawn, like he's playing chess, symbolizing intellect and strategy. The King of Wands card, he's holding a staff or a wand with a flaming crown atop. We can assume that this is the same character. They're both wearing red, although one appears to be a bit older than the other. They have the same jewelry. The staff represents the element of fire, or wands, which is associated with masculine, yang, or pursuing energy. The Emperor card often symbolizes intelligence, courage, and responsibility. It often represents the apex of one's climb, whether that's a corporate ladder or kingdom. The epitome of the ego, especially the male ego, learning to be the ruler of one's own universe. Although the Emperor is often depicted sitting on a throne, adorned with rams, a symbol of Mars, in the Light Seers tarot, we do see the head of a ram that presumably he has hunted in the background. We can see the constellation Aries in the imagery. He's sitting on the fiery red planet Mars that rules Aries energy. The Emperor is the perfect embodiment of all 4 kings in the deck, as he represents the perfect embodiment of their energy. Swords, intellect or air, wands, fire or drive, pentacles, resourcefulness or earth, and cups, water or emotional intelligence or creativity. In the traditional Rider-Waite tarot deck, he wears a long cloak and he has a long white beard, representing wisdom attained through experience over time. He holds a scepter, which in the Light Seers tarot, it's depicted as a tattoo, and a globe, symbolizing domination. Next, we have the Six of Wands, which is the Lord of Triumph in the traditional Rider-Waite deck. Rewards for hard work and accomplishment. Upright, it signifies the achievement of a significant milestone. After overcoming obstacles and setbacks, you're now able to reap and enjoy the rewards. In the Light Seers deck, and in both decks, So the Light Seers deck, there's a wand or a staff with a fire, a blaze, a wreath, and a performer on stage, indicating that we can enjoy these gifts and celebrate them with others. Integrity is an important element with this card. Something that I've noticed with Leo energy is that it's imperative to remove the self or the ego from the equation in order to fully capitalize on its gifts and abilities. When Leo gets too haughty or arrogant, the universe, God, whatever you deem that to be, can and will take those gifts back and knock you down a peg, humbling you, whether it's one's artistic ability, popularity, athletic talent, or its beautiful singing voice. Watch for an over self-focus, me, because we can't accomplish great things without embodying great character and integrity. Be very careful about riding the curtails or the successes of others. Last but not least, the Sun card. What better card to depict Leo energy and its full potential than the Sun card? In the Light Seers tarot deck, we can see a divine feminine character dancing below the light of the sun. It represents joy, inspirational success, abundance, and fulfillment, exuberant creativity, positivity, love, manifesting one's dreams, and inner beauty emanating from within outward, just like the light of the sun. You're reminded that just like our sun, the center of our solar system, you are already perfect, whole, and loved by the universe exactly as you are. So please have the courage to share that with others and be seen. Where to find Leo energy and the Leo new moon in your natal chart. We'll begin by where to find Leo energy. To find Leo energy in your chart, and I will use my own natal chart cast on the screen here as an example, first look for any planets, asteroids, or important angles, ascendant, IC, descendant, or midheaven, that fall in the sign of Leo. You'll want to pay careful attention to first house Leo, 10th house Leo, as that'll be super visible in public. People will be able to see that energy. The 7th house and the 4th house, where the IC and the descendant fall, those are cadent houses that support the other houses, so they're far less visible. But the 4th house is particularly important because that shows who you are on your most private level, deep to your core, as passed down by your family. The descendant shows what we're attracted to in others for balance that is part of our own ego that we often can't see or are unwilling to see. I have several placements that fall within the sign of Leo itself. My South Node, 4 degrees Leo. My Jupiter, 9 degrees Leo. And those two are in conjunction. The South Node is like a moon sign. It shows past life mastery brought into this life. So once we dissolve those layers of ego, we can tap into those gifts. Jupiter and South Node together, Jupiter would expand the energy and influence. Since my Jupiter is direct, not retrograde, this is incredibly visible, especially in my 10th house of career and public reputation. It's also on the cusp of my 11th house, which is our house of friendships, groups, networks, and personal legacy. The two of those together, especially with that South Node factored in, indicates that I may have been a performer in a past life, which would make sense why I have befriended and naturally vibe with other performers and celebrities in this life. We also can see Pallas Athena, our creative and strategic intelligence, wife of Mars, Athena, 22, master number 22, degrees Leo. That puts 3 placements in Leo itself. So once you've located your placements in Leo, get ready because we'll take it a little bit deeper. Now, you'll want to navigate over to the 5th house of your natal chart. And if you're using houses, you want to make sure you have an accurate birth time. Your rising sign depends on where you were in the world when you took your very first breath, and it creates the entire overlay of your chart. So without an exact birth time, you can't rely on the house placements. So navigate over to your 5th house, which is the house naturally ruled by the sun and Leo energy. All of your 5th house placements will carry a strong Leo flavor to them. And depending on what placements are there, they will be stronger than others. Looking at my chart as an example, we can see that I have my part of fortune in the 5th house. Depending on which house system I use, my North Node in Aquarius falls pretty close to the cusp of that 5th house. So you can use traditional, you can use equal, and you can use whole sign. And when they're close to the cusp, I do this in my practice and I recommend you do the same, you'll want to interpret both houses because there will be messages for you in both. Next, I'd like for you to get even more detailed. Locate any placements that are at 5 degrees, 17 degrees, and 29 degrees of their respective signs, whether or not they are in Leo. All of those will carry Leo energy, as they are associated with Leo in degree astrology. 29 degrees is a special one because it also carries the energy of Pluto and Scorpio. Next, we have to take it even deeper. Are you ready? We need to consider all of those placements and their planetary rulers in your personal natal chart. Since the sun rules Leo energy, and consider all of your Leo placements. Check where your natal sun falls within your personal birth chart by sign, house, degree, and any important aspect to another planetary body or angle, as this will modify your Leo placements, since the sun and your natal sun would be the planetary ruler of Leo energy in all of those Leo placements. For example, because I am a Libra sun, all of those Leo placements, South Node, Jupiter, and Pallas Athena in Leo, answer to my natal sun in Libra, which answers to Libra's ruling planet, Venus. You have to follow the energy trail. Venus is in its sign of rulership in Libra, so we stop the energy trail there. That would be not only the ruling planet of these energies, but my chart ruler as a Libra rising. Do you see why that birth time is so important? This is why you have to look at the entire chart. You are so much more than pieces of it. Your sun sign, your moon sign, your rising sign. You have to look at the entire chart as a picture and learn to weave those stories and patterns together. Next, you'll want to look at any placements you have aspecting your natal sun, especially by conjunction. So do you see how my sun is in the first house, rising with my ascendant? The sun is exalted in the first house, making it strong, which makes up for its debilitation in Libra, thankfully. Because it's conjunct my ascendant and visible in that first house of my persona, it carries all the same energy as a Leo rising, even though I am technically a Libra rising. My sun is also loosely conjunct, thankfully, because if it was too close it would be combust, and that would be a negative effect. My sun is loosely conjunct my Venus, ruling planet, and my Mercury, meaning that all of those energies are fused and therefore working together. That also brings Gemini rising into the mix with the Libra and Leo rising energies, all converging on my ascendant. If you have any trouble following what I just said or interpreting your own chart, this is why I recommend working with a professional astrologer. We have practice going through this over years. I do chart readings in the form of you can pay for it and have it emailed to you and you can read it at your own time. And I also offer hourly or 2-hour one-on-one coaching sessions if you're interested in learning how to interpret this yourself. Now, how to find where the Leo new moon is affecting you in your chart. The Leo new moon 2024 will affect 12 degrees with a standard deviation plus or minus 5 degrees of either side of the fixed signs most potently. So check first where 12 degrees Leo falls. Using my chart again as a reference, I'm an open book, and I'm using the equal house system. Since I was born in the Philadelphia area, far away from the equator, the equal house system helps adjust for any skewing. In my practice, I use both Placidius/traditional and equal house systems, and sometimes whole sign. Whole sign is more for simplicity, so I use that one the least. If we look at my natal chart, we can see that 12 degrees Leo is the exact border of my 10th and 11th houses, the houses of career and public reputation, and personal legacy. Within 5 degrees, we can find my natal Jupiter, which is conjunct my south node, so those two are fused together. That south node of past life karmic fate and destiny, and this life talents. Jupiter expands the energy and influence of wherever it's placed. So this is part of where I get that big Leo energy. That, and I would say the sun in the first house, conjunct my ascendant. Curly hair and all. Jupiter conjunct the south node expands this even further, especially in that 10th house. When I was a little girl, prior to being bullied out of it, I would sit right behind my bus driver in the first seat, and I would sing to her to and from school every day. If there's any wonder why I love Leo energy, it's those two placements right there, especially because Jupiter is a placement where you look to find your husband or wife in a natal chart. All of my long-term partners have been either Leo or Sagittarius, except for this current partner, who is day 1, 0 degrees Virgo, with dominant Leo and Sagittarius energy. He has Mars in Leo, a Leo stellium, and his moon in Sagittarius. You see? It's not always about the sun sign. The Leo in me sees and loves the Leo in each and every one of you. And you all have Leo energy somewhere. It's just a matter of how we find it and work with it. If we look directly opposite 12 degrees Leo, we'll find 12 degrees Aquarius, which for my natal chart is the exact cusp of my 4th and 5th houses, where I have my north node of this life, karmic fate and destiny, and my part of fortune. The 4th house, ruled by the IC, is our deepest, most private energy as passed down by our families, which for me is very heavy Capricorn. While the 5th house is our house of self-expression, passion, our children, romance, and creativity. Should I decide to reproduce, those children will be born during the Pluto in Aquarius generation, 2024 to 2044, with Pluto intensifying the energy and influence of Aquarius. They would have Pluto in Aquarius in their future hypothetical natal charts. Do you see? We'll also want to check 12 degrees of both Taurus and Scorpio, which would form a challenging 90-degree angle square to this Leo new moon. 12 degrees Taurus falls on the cusps of my 7th and 8th houses of long-term partnerships and shared money or resources, where I have my Sedna and my Vertex, while 12 degrees Scorpio falls on the cusp of my 1st and 2nd houses, the 1st house of persona and the 2nd house of self-made money and resources. This would be aspecting by square my natal Pluto, 16 degrees Scorpio. So everyone who's a millennial, especially around my age and a little younger, will be heavily aspected by this Leo new moon. Pluto in Scorpio rules the millennials. Having Scorpio on the cusp of my 1st and 2nd house is also why I have darker features than my siblings. I mentioned in my previous series that I have strong Norwegian ancestry, among many other things, but my brothers look far more Scandinavian than I do. Blonde hair, blue eyes. My mother expected me to come out similarly, and I came out with striking dark eyes and dark curly hair, much to her surprise. North Node in Aquarius. She has been calling me her gypsy child ever since. And little did she know that I would grow up to become a professional astrologer and tarot card reader. I hope you enjoyed my little Gemini anecdotal stories and that they helped illustrate some of the examples for you. But that's enough about me. Drop it in the comments section below. Where does 12 degrees Leo fall in your chart? Do you have any personal placements or aspects there, especially within a 5-degree standard deviation or orb? What about 12 degrees Aquarius, which would be aspected by challenging opposition? Confrontation leading to evolution. Where does 12 degrees Aquarius fall in your chart, plus or minus 5 degrees? And do you have any aspects or important angles there? Now I'll do the same for Taurus and Scorpio. Those 90-degree angles will be felt much more internally, so it might be more subtle. Once you've identified what's aspected by this new moon, now you'll want to add an additional layer of meaning. What do those planets and placements represent archetypally? What about the aspects? If it's a conjunction, it'll mean something completely different than an opposition or a square. If you need any help, I will be taking new one-to-one astrology, tarot, etc. clients for 2 more weeks, but I will be taking a break from new clients effective August 17th. And this is to focus on my existing client basis, producing videos on a consistent basis, and on a certification program for my new full-time endeavor. The only way to reach out to me is through the comments section and by email. If you email me, I will send you a list of my pricing for you to choose from. This is the best way that I can get back to everyone in 48 hours. Thank you for watching. If you're still with me, you're a real one. Drop your current most used emoji in the comments. If you took anything away from this video, we ask that you like, comment, share the content, and subscribe. If you enjoyed this video, we know that you'll enjoy the full playlist and this additional video. Thank you so much, love you, and see you soon.